One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Welcome to what is today? Wednesday, a Wednesday afternoon show. I want to apologize for last night. After going for 5.5 hours yesterday afternoon and wanting to do a 7:30 show, it just didn't give me enough of a window to get things done and produce the type of show I like to produce. So I had to call it a little bit short. I mean, not short. I did 5.5 hours, but I couldn't turn around a 7 o'clock show. So I apologize profusely for that. I'm going to try and not go 5 hours for today's afternoon show, because tonight, just to give you an update, actually, let me break over, because President Trump is meeting the South African president as we speak, and we'll come back in here.
President Trump, how are you feeling, sir, about your big, beautiful bill today?
Very well. We're doing very well. It's very close.
How was your meeting with the Pope's brother yesterday?
Great. Fantastic guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They take those quick cameo shots of him just getting in there, and as you know, what'll happen is as they have their meeting in Oval Office, then we'll cut to it and take the meeting, but that was just him getting there, which should make for an interesting meeting, especially since, the Democrats don't want white South Africans coming to America. So I'd love to see how they approach that when the press starts asking questions. Hey, why are you sending white people over here? Good luck with that. So anyway, I was telling you, I couldn't turn around a production the way I like to produce a show that quick after yesterday's turn. So that's why I couldn't go live. I wouldn't have been ready till probably like 8:30, and that would have been too late. People going to bed, tuning out. So I didn't want to do that. 7:30 is the latest that I want to do a nighttime show. That being said, tonight's show, I'm going to be digging in a little bit on, let's say, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and the whole Epstein thing. There's some things that are starting to come out, bubble up, that I want to bring to you that I obviously can't talk about here. And we'll also talk about some crazy stuff. I mean, so bat poop crazy stuff that's happening with the Diddy trial that I can't talk about here. I mean, tonight should be juicy. And for those of you who are going to clutch some pearls, maybe tonight might not be a show you want to tune in on. And then tonight also, we'll talk about Nancy Mace bearing it all. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find out tonight. So tonight's going to be spicy. It's almost like going to be like a Harlequin romance book, but without the romance part. But anyway, we'll save all that stuff for tonight. Today we've got this South African president who's going to be doing, as they customarily do, in the Oval Office. We'll cut to that as soon as he comes on. At 12:30, we have Colonel Douglas McGregor on here. We're going to talk to him about some war stuff. If you guys haven't seen him on Fox or anything before, he's a very outspoken proponent and advocate for the military. So he'll be on. We'll talk about a number of different, I've got like 5 videos I'd like to show him and then get his opinion on. A little bit different of an interview today. And then before I start into my show, which I guess we can kind of like, we got 23 minutes before he gets in here. I've got some news to go over with you. So let's do that. Let me just check here, make sure he hasn't logged in yet. All right, so here's some news for you. Let's talk about this for a second. This is pretty big news, actually. It says John Deere will be investing $20 billion to produce more products in the United States. That's absolutely huge. Let me go to this and show you something with this. We're going to pull this up. Hold on. All right. So this is what's included in the John Deere $20 billion program. My phone's going off. What's going on here? Okay. So you got $20 billion that's going to be overall, $25 billion towards a bunch of different things. But the bottom line with all of this, as you look at it, and let me look at it on a different screen so I can pull it up, make it much bigger for my sore eyes so I can go over it with you. You've got $20 billion that's going. John Deere plans to invest that over the next decade. Nice sum. $100 million is going to be invested in factories, $60 million in facilities in 16 different United States. It's going to be U.S. steel is the vast majority of the steel that's going to be used in these factories. 120,000 square feet addition to the Missouri facility, building a new excavator factory in Kernersville, North Carolina, expanding the factory in Greenville, Tennessee, and building a 9RX tractor on new assembly lines in Waterloo, Iowa. Looks like a lot of red state jobs are coming. It says currently they have 30,000 employees, 50,000 independent dealers, $200 million in foundations where they give their grants and charities. 450 U.S. military veterans have been placed in jobs, and 400 plus the Department of Defense interns that are working in John Deere. So John Deere, which had some DEI issues at one point, have now moved, and they're going to be working to expand things in the United States. $20 billion. Oh, SB has sent me something here. This is pretty interesting. Got 2 things here. All right, this is big news. Pentagon shakes up broken military moving system. Today we find the head of the failing program. We're increasing the government reimbursement rate to 130% instead of 100%, which will cover, we believe, based on the math. We're looking at full compensation when you take that on as a responsibility of moving you or your family. Awesome. We know this system isn't working. We're going to fix it holistically after the peak moving season. And then, of course, as you see, Pete Hegseth is here talking. So what I'm going to do while I'm talking, because I can do it this way, I'm going to go ahead and pull this video down and pull it in, because that might be something we can talk to Colonel McGregor about. In addition, I hope it's not serious, And I don't know what the temperature is like in Washington, D.C. right now, but this is a member of the Presidential Honor Guard just collapsed while holding a state flag for the South African president. I pray he'll be okay, says George. This seems to happen to these guys a lot. Standing still in hot weather for hours isn't fun. And the young soldier, as you can see right there, he's going to be in the middle of your screen, just standing around holding the flag, and all of a sudden goes down. Just he'll go down. Let's see here. Bam, right there. Just a poor kid. Just fainted. So, prayers up for that kid. Prayers up for him. Hopefully everything is okay. We definitely don't want to see any of our soldiers, whether they're in active duty or standing holding up holding up a flag. As I download this video, let me just say one thing else to you guys, because not often I do thank you guys on an often basis, but I gotta thank you even more. YouTube 2 weeks ago announced that they were going to begin recognizing the top podcast in the country, and different than all the other things that they do, and they have a different criteria, and their criteria, hey, listen, I'm on YouTube, so I'm going to follow their criteria and try to push their criteria. It's important. So yours truly, last week, for the first time, when they first released this poll, not poll, but rather ranking, I showed up at number 69 in the entire country, encompassing all the different genres, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's homemaking, gaming, news. I was 69 in the entire country thanks to you. Well, that was last week. That was then. This is now. You guys are kicking butt. The newest poll just came out recently in the last, I'd say, 20 minutes. And it says, here's the weekly top podcast shows for May 12th through May 18th. And of course, Joe Rogan is up there in the top 2. I've never even heard of Rotten Mango. Like I said, this encompasses everybody, not just news. And so 48 Hours Television, Kill Tony. And then you'll see some of the names you know. Sean Ryan, The Midas Touch was the Lefty podcast. Some of the ones that you may know, H3, Big, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Pat McAfee's in sports. Let's see here, 60 Minutes. Of course, you know what 60 Minutes is. Club Shay Shay, it's sports as well. Timcast, Sports. Benny, who you guys all know, PBD, Lex Fridman, and on and on and on. And yours truly moved up to 51. Thank you. You did it. In 1 week, we moved up 18 spots from 69 to 51. You guys keep setting the bar. I got to keep bringing it. I got to keep pushing. I want to get up there with the other guys. But 51, especially when you look at it this way, yes, I'm at 51. 51 in the whole country. But then you start taking out the entertainment, and you start taking out sports. You start taking out crime and weather, and just look at the news. And we're probably, top 10-ish in the news. I would probably say we're probably top 10-ish in the news. Looks like probably I would say number 1 in news is obviously, let's see, Tucker, Midas Touch. Nope, I guess you can say Joe Rogan's number 1 in news. Overall, he's way up there. But yeah, in terms of what we do, Sean Ryan, Midas Touch, Tucker Carlson, and on and on. I'm just honored. Remember, I started this show in March 18th, 2024. These people have been doing it for 10, 12 years. Some of them have been on big broadcast networks. They've had a big head start. And we've been able to slowly walk these competitors down to where we're just being named on that kind of a chart is humbling. And I have to thank basically four people or entities. Number 1, the big man upstairs. Number 2, you guys. And number 3, 4, Ashley and Robin, and of course our mods. We could not be doing this if it weren't for you guys tuning in. And so I greatly appreciate it. And all that does, a lot of other people like to rest on accolades. All that does to me is tell me, you got more work to do, Barry. You got to bring it. You got to keep going. And that's why I keep telling you guys about, wealth and prosperity is never going to get tired. You got to keep looking up and just keep going for it. And so now I have my sights set above. I guess, who do I want to shoot for? I don't know. I took it down. But I need, if I'm 51 now, I want to be 45, 44 next week. 2 weeks, I want to be in the top, 30. But I got to keep bringing it. You guys got to, thank you for what you guys do. And it means so very much to me. I can't tell you. All right, so more news. And this one's going to be interesting. Rest in peace. But Congressman Jerry Connolly just passed. He was 75 years old. He died and succumbed of cancer. God bless his soul. Rest in peace. He was a congressman from Virginia. So by him passing, unfortunately, he's met his demise, and hopefully he's meeting Jesus. I don't know his religion, don't know his faith, none of it, but I wish him the best in his future travels. All right, now in the real world here, the world that we live in, what that does is it turns the House from up to 220 to 210. We now have a 10-seat lead in the House. So when you read this, one of the things that should cross your mind right off the bat is, besides praying for Mr. Connolly, is there should be no reason why President Trump isn't able to get what he wants. All right, and they're already talking. That's quick. Oops. Nope, don't want to put that screen up. Want to put up this screen, and let's go.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's a great honor to be with the President of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, and he is a man who is certainly in some circles really respected, other circles a little bit less respected, like all of us, in all fairness, like all of us.
We all like that.
We also have a few of my friends. Ernie Els, a great golfer. He's a truly great golfer. And Retief Goosen, who's an other really, we call him really a great golfer too, Ernie, right? You two guys are fantastic. And we could add Gary to the group, Gary Player. What a group of golfers South Africa's had.
Yes.
There must be something in the water, right? It's something good. These two guys are unbelievable.
It's the water, sir.
Yeah, Gary's Gary. And David Frost, also another one that I know is such a great one.
Indeed.
Was he as good a putter as they say, David? He's a putter. He's a putting machine, right?
Absolutely.
But he's another one. So something very good about South Africa in golf, and golf is still doing great in South Africa, and they have young players. So we're going to be discussing certain things. As you know, we have the G20 is going to South Africa. When is that going to be?
In November.
In November.
Thereafter, I hand over to you. And
Yes, we have it next.
you originated the G20, so I'll hand over the baton to you,
Right.
and then you lead the
That's
G20.
right. We're going to have it.
Yeah.
We're going to have it the following year.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing many things, and some of the things you've been reading about in the papers and
Yes.
the media. And I would say that, look, the president is a truly respected man in many, many circles, and in some circles he's considered a little controversial. But we're going to be discussing some of the things that are taking place in South Africa and see if we can help. And we want to help. And we've had a long relationship with South Africa. I have, because indirectly I have so many friends that live there. I have a lot of friends. I mean, these are famous guys, but I have a lot of friends that live there that are tremendous people. And we'll be discussing that. We'll have a nice conversation. And I really appreciate that you guys came along. It really helps us in our thought process. But it is a great honor to have you, and I appreciate you called. He called. I don't know where he got my number, but I picked up. He said, "I want to come over and see you." And that was my honor. And thank you very much for being here.
You're most welcome.
Thank
Most
you very
welcome.
much.
Well, thank you very much for welcoming us to this reformed White House. I've been here before, and it looks really fantastic. I must congratulate you.
Thank you.
But I also thank you for allowing our delegation. This is a very mixed delegation that you've got. We've got people from government, my ministers. I've got someone from the trade union movement, who we really collaborate with, and from business as well, and our sporting legends. When I spoke to you, you said, yes, come along and bring Gary Player, bring Annie else, and Retief Wilson. I brought the two of them. Gary Player, I spoke to him, and he said, look, I'm getting rather on in my years, but wishes us luck in this discussion with you. So it's a real joy. And I'd also like to thank you for allowing your people to start discussions with us at the trade level. I mean, we are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa. We are long-standing partners in many, many ways. We've collaborated in many fields, in space issues, in energy, and in trade, and we therefore need to reset that, particularly in the light of some of the announcements that you made on trade and investment. So we want to advance more trade between the two of us, two countries, and our people now have been empowered by yourself and by myself to start engaging, and we hope that we will be able to fuel that engagement during our talks. And we also want to discuss issues that have to do with how we promote further investments in both countries. We've got about 22 companies from South Africa that have invested in the US, thus creating a number of jobs. And similarly, you've got almost 600 companies that have invested in South Africa, and some of them have been in South Africa for more than 100 years.
That's true.
So our links are really long-lasting, and we would like to recalibrate those relations between our two countries and discuss a whole range of issues, geopolitical, the work that you're doing to bring peace around the world, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So we value that, and we are also a great contributor to peace processes that are going on around the world. And of course, we want to discuss how we can support each other. You are a much bigger economy than we are. We are just a tiny economy, but we rely on each other on a number of issues. We've got critical minerals that you want to fuel the growth of your own economy and reindustrialize. So we have that on offer, including rare earth minerals. So all that combination of opportunity and the products that we buy from you, as well as what we sell to you, I believe makes up a really good and powerful relationship, which we need to strengthen, which we need to engender, and that is really what has brought us here. And we are really privileged to have, great South Africans in the mix. As you said, you'd like to see them as well. And I brought you a really fantastic golf book. Weighs 14 kilograms.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it showcases the golf courses in our country. Johann Rupert wrote preface, so did Annie else. And I want to showcase our golf courses. You might remember when I spoke to you, when we spoke about golf, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing, President, so I'm ready. But let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period.
Right.
And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment.
Right.
And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators. respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. Being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world. And you were there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the respirator king. We started making them. Nobody had them. We had very few of them.
That's right.
But they were very helpful. But we sent 150, and I appreciated the letter. You wrote me a letter. And
that's right. Yeah.
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for that. It really touched my heart after I spoke to you and you delivered.
It's a great honor.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, you welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protective status revoked?
You got to be
Well,
kidding me.
this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally, we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Brian?
thank you very much. I'd like to get your thoughts on Letitia James. Director Polte, according to him, Letitia James says that the alleged mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that her father was her husband in order, and this is very similar to, I guess, the false attacks they had on you.
Well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud, mortgage documents, and fraudulent everything. Yeah, I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, so she chose her father, and she put it down, and she had didn't she sign in Virginia, yet she said she lived in Virginia, yet she's the New York State Attorney General, and she did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. And she had the wrong number of units. She had a much different number, which wouldn't have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. President, for you to be convinced that there's no genocide.
Go ahead.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So May 25th will be the celebration of Africa Day, which pretty much a lot of celebration will be taking place around the world, including here in the United States. What is your message to the entire African continent, African people, in this important occasion?
Well, I want to see peace, and I want to see happiness. I want to see health, and you have incredible land. There's tremendous value. A lot of countries don't have that value in the land. The value you have. We have a situation. I think you probably heard about it. We've done through some very talented people helped settle a war that's been raging for years, Rwanda and the Congo, and I think we've done it. Believe it or not, I think we've done it. And could you just say a few words about that, my friend?
Yes. A couple of weeks ago, the two parties signed a declaration of principles in which they've agreed on the way forward. And they have both submitted draft peace agreements. And we have put together one that incorporates both of their suggestions. And we've given it to them. So we're in the process of finalizing this peace agreement. Right? Looking very good.
We have to thank you for even those efforts, because the African continent, particularly SADC, our Southern African Development Community, has for years been seeking to foster peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So all efforts, including those from outside the continent and inside the continent, are really worthwhile. We are removing our troops from there so that peace can then prevail in that whole area. And we hope that with the support of the international community, we will really have peace in that area. It's so vital, it's so important for the whole region.
Well, we sent our people there, and I think we did a very good job. I sat in by my friend. And that was great. That was great. I mean, I'm just hearing phenomenal reports, because all I'm hearing is death, and they're chopping heads off, and it's horrible over there. And it was really brave of you to go there, and I really appreciate it. And it looks like we have something very, very substantial. We also talked about trade with them in terms of rare earth and all, but really more for it's like. If you take a look at what we just did with Pakistan and India, we settled that whole thing, and I think I settled it through trade. We're doing a big deal with India. We're doing a big deal with Pakistan, and I said, "What are you guys doing?" Somebody had to be the last one to shoot, but the shooting was getting worse and worse, bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper into the countries, and. We spoke to them, and I think I hate to say we got it settled, and then 2 days later, something happens, and they say it's Trump's fault. But Pakistan has got some excellent people and a great leader. And India is my friend, Modi. And he's a
mutual friend.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And I called them both, and we just did something good. We're trying to settle Russia-Ukraine. We spoke with President Putin for 2.5 hours the day before yesterday. I think we made a lot of progress, but that's a bloodbath. 5,000 people are being killed a week, 5,000 soldiers a week, not including people in cities and towns that are also being killed. So we're trying to help. And it doesn't affect us. It's not our people. It's not our soldiers. It's Ukraine and it's Russia. But if we can save 5,000 souls, we'll do it. We're pretty good at it. But that's a bad situation. That is a really bad situation.
Well, you'd recall when President Zelensky was coming to South Africa, that's when I spoke to you.
That's right.
We both agreed that we need to push the peace message so that there can really be peace. And we've been involved in the Ukraine-Russia conflict for quite a while through my Minister of State Security here. We've been dealing with them, the exchange of children who were taken away, going through names and addresses and all that. So we've been invested in that whole process as well. And the moves that you are making are fully supported by us, because we would like to see the end of that war.
That's true. I called Zelensky, and they said, he's in South Africa. I said, what the hell is he doing in South Africa?
He was talking to us.
We got to speak. I said, that's a strange one. I said, what are you doing in South Africa?
Yes.
That's a strange one.
He's trying to make peace.
That's right.
But we taking him. We were lucky because we had the great Nelson Mandela, who taught us how to create peace, to make peace. So we were imparting some of those lessons to him, some of those learnings. And I specifically mentioned to him that This is how Nelson Mandela taught us that when you want to have a peace in a country, do it on an unconditional basis and sit down and talk. And that's precisely what I'm sure he's going to heed.
Well, we're going to see what happens with that when it's there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of death. It's a bloodbath.
It is.
I get the,
unfortunately.
I get the satellite pictures of that field, of that killing field. Mm-hmm. You never saw anything like it in your life. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing that goes on, but I think we've made big progress.
Sir, on the
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gaza
No, not you. Right here. He's from South Africa. Go ahead, please.
What are you expecting on the ICJ case? Are you expecting South Africa to drop that? Is that what you're trying to raise?
On which case?
The ICJ case against Israel,
International
Criminal Court.
I don't expect anything, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know. It's they've got a case. There's a lot of anger there, tremendous anger. I don't expect anything. We'll see what happens. We'll have a ruling, and who knows what the ruling is going to mean. Yeah.
On that subject of Gaza, Mr. President, are you going to be speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Israel's renewed offensive there? There's been a lot of concern from European countries. The Pope has expressed concern. Are you going to be asking Prime Minister Netanyahu to tone down the offensive in Gaza, to let more aid in?
Was that a question or a statement?
It's a question.
This guy's, you never change.
Mr. President, decide what will it take from you for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for it's for him.
I'd rather have him answer.
Sure, I'd rather answer. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it will take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things. And it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yes. South Africa, occupy land. That's who we are. Honorable member, can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament? Honorable. Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. To kill, Yamaza, kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, 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 pa. To kill your master. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. who are cutting the throat of whiteness in Ghana. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Statue was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but, I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter. They freak out. It sounds like a genocidal war.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers. In the campaign, I promised the American people that to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers. The family of white farmers.
Can you believe this?
And those cars aren't driving. They're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who's killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. But, okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's
We need to find out. I don't know.
those people.
I don't know. Who knows? Okay.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One. Perhaps
What are you talking about?
I'd like to
Can we have a South Africa question, please? Mr. President,
the Pentagon's going first.
What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network. And you're a disgrace. No more questions for me. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that.
Please, may we have a South African
His name is
question,
Peter
Mr. President
something. He's
Trump?
a terrible
If they're
reporter.
committing genocide, why invite them to the White House? I'll be quiet. Sure, that's my question now.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Annika Larson from ENCA in South Africa. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you very
hosting
much.
us. What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation
I
that
don't
we've just
know.
seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, These are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. 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 Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
But you know that there
Pick
are
anyone.
people who are
White
dying
South
the most.
Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all. I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
President Trump.
And he asks about a jet that was given.
My first question
You
is
ought to
about
be
Africa.
ashamed.
We're not interested in the
You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
If they're committing genocide, why invite them? Sir, if they are committing genocide, why invite the South Africans? Why not?
May I finish, please, President Trump? President Trump.
This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a
President
response from
Ramaphosa,
President
can you give us your
Ramaphosa?
reaction to those videos, Mr. President?
President Trump, could you?
Well, I
could
think
you
it's.
address
I think the
black people
videos are
dying
so.
more than white
No,
people?
no. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what it is. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it. But this is a tremendous look. This is story recent. These are all people that recently got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are
President
okay.
Trump.
And you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
But let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
And then
take
when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The farmers are black. The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they tell me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay? The United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force, so they could help us out, because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One, it's being built. 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them.
Well, there are problems.
And this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States.
Those are all recent. Those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in one of our areas in South Africa, we're using US technology, which is able to, in many ways, identify where shootings are happening and all that. And I'd like to talk about that because there is support that we can get from you as the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about. And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a
outside the
really
media
good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Are there any other further punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things, in inverted commas, that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, very bad. And because of we're going to have the whole world watching in another short period of time because you have the G20, and that's a big deal. And it seems like, I mean, I want you to look good. I don't want you to look bad.
Very good.
But we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated. And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that because we have a constitution. Our constitution guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership. And that constitution protects all South Africans with regard to land ownership. However, we do say, because we've got to deal with the past, the government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land for public use.
And you're doing that.
And we've never really gotten underway with that. And we are going to be doing
you're
so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
from them.
We have,
and those people, in many cases, are being executed. They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases, those people are being executed. And in many cases, it's not the government that's doing it. It's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country. They're also going to Australia in a smaller number. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country, and they're white farmers, and they feel that they're going to die in South Africa, and it's a bad thing. Yeah,
what can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States? Then I have one more for President Ramaphosa afterwards.
Well, we just spoke about, I got them a very, very complex machine, 150 of them. And I was asked by the president if he could help. Yes. And I did that. And, I have great feeling for all countries. I deal with all countries. But I have a great feeling for South Africa because I have friends. I have a couple of friends, a few friends here today. But I have many friends from South Africa. But many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted. He actually came here on a different subject, sending rockets to Mars, okay? Yes. He likes that better. He likes that subject better. That's right. But Elon is from South Africa, and I don't want to talk to him about that. I don't think it's fair to him. That's right. But I will say that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated, and in many cases they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But we have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it. All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa. And it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, please.
I was going to say, Brian, if I could just ask you a question. 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace those farmers.
I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you just raised. John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
And Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa, and I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require a different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Mkhonto weSizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government. Because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our Parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union buildings, because then South Africa's future would be...
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
Will you discuss USAID and the devastating impact the cuts are having across the African continent?
Yeah, well, it's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem going on in many countries. A lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, as you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. You know, they sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. Very unfair. But we're going to always be there to help.
Regarding is showing rightly South African broadcasting, if this Afrikaner resettlement issue is resolved, you're going to go into a room after this, you guys are going to talk. If it is resolved, what is the potential for the future-looking relationship?
It's fantastic. It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. It's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa, so it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not resolved.
But is there potential for the relationship moving forward?
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for my health. I'm here to see if we can do something. No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And, you know, they said, can we be here for this? Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words or anything? I hate to put you in this. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer. And they've sank many 3-footers.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thanks for the honor of being here. We've known each other a long time. We have spoken. You know, we're proud South Africans. I still have my South African passport. You know, we travel with this passport, you know, and I got my visa here. So, you know, but we want to see things get better in our home country. And that's the bottom line. It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government, and I know there's a lot of anger, you know, through the transition. There was also a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. You know, we grew up in the apartheid era, but I don't think two wrongs makes a right. You know, President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred, you know, and really unified our nation through sport. You know, we won the Rugby World Cup in '95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. You know, we won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. You know, we've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on and help from a lot of areas. But I feel we need the US to push this thing through. We've got a great ally if we can have the US. It's always been an ally of South Africa for a very long time. Even in the days of the war, you know, up in Angola, you know, you guys helped us. So very important for us to have your support and you know, get the change we need.
Where did you do that well? He might have done that even better than he plays golf, which is almost impossible. Johan, please.
Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble-rouser. Number one for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman, and look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie is right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Graaff-Reinet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Vance many years ago at the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved his book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their number 1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir.
Yeah.
He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33 or whatever, these guys. We've got equivalents there. But we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we also know that as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment so that we are able to grow our economy with your support, and so that we are also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve, and your support, your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
Excuse me, do you have anything to say? I mean, I don't want to leave you out. You know, the guy won 3 or 4 majors. 3 or 4?
No, only 2.
2. That's a lot. By the way, 2's a lot. A lot of tournaments you won too. You have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane. And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it. But it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers
And your
to
brother
produce
loves
the food.
farming, right? He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those 2 things, we can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the
So
water
does
out.
your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
There's nowhere to live.
both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So it is difficult. But the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers, and maybe we should give her a chance to say something, because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump,
Thank you.
for having us, and President for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders. in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think, as Retief have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning anything. But also, if you go into the rural areas where black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered. And these are black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Genocide is a very strong word. I'm wondering if you've made up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa, or you still have doubts. And if you have made up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today for this conversation?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration, and it would have never happened if I were president. But I'm trying to save lives, no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. And that's a very hard living. Going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do, and
better than you and I.
Getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
that's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions, and I respect very much. And I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here. That's true. They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here. So.
My name is Yanda Mhobo from Newsroom Africa in South Africa. How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You've just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you preparing to come?
So without the United States, the G20, just like the G7, used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. Would have been a lot better if Russia was in. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not it. Because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is at both of them. I think without the United States, I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meaning.
As I said to President Trump, the U.S. really originated the G20. And it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20. And we are privileged to be the president of the G20, but we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators. And for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries. And I've said when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit, and I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is it going to take to convince you
They
to
don't
come
want to
to the
leave.
G20?
They like you so
Okay. I'd be amazed to see how much of that gets shown on television tonight. So I'm going to have probably a whole bunch of stuff to talk about tomorrow morning, because I'm sure the news is not going to represent that correctly. For some people here in the chat, as I was watching, that was not very comfortable for some people. But before I get into, let's talk about what we just witnessed, I have to apologize to Colonel McGregor. Colonel McGregor was set to come on at 12:30, and President Trump just got done at 1:22, so we're going to have to reschedule the interview with Colonel McGregor. That being said, and I apologize, but President Trump preempts things. So, with what you just watched, I noticed in the comments there were a bunch of people who, this is uncomfortable. Even one person said this is divisive. And I want to address that the first point. Because the first point with that is there's a reason why what you just saw was uncomfortable for some. And that reason is you just saw behind the curtain for the first time in probably American history. You just saw a president who would probably do that, and it has probably, didn't probably happen with Biden, but has probably happened throughout our political history where two world leaders went at it head to head. But this is the first time you've been able to see it televised. And he had to do that because the media put him in a position where he had to do that in front of the world, everybody who was watching. And there's a couple reasons why he had to do that. The whole thing, as you heard NBC News, the white people, why are you letting white people in? He knew that was going to happen. He knew full well if he was having an Oval Office meeting with the president of South Africa, he knew these nuts in the media would jump all over that. He was completely prepared. He did their job when they haven't been able to do their job. Oh, why are we talking? Like some people in chat, why is he even having this meeting? He had that meeting because he just showed everybody. See, that stuff that you saw, I've covered it, some other podcasters have covered it, but you're not seeing that on the mainstream media. No, they don't want you to see that. No, hey, no. Don't show that on television. In fact, if he had actually put it on the screen, full screen, the people here may have turned it off. In fact, after this broadcast, they may go back in and go, hey, listen, we're going to have to ding this video because you talked about stuff you shouldn't be talking about. You should go to Rumble, you want to talk about that, and it's crazy. So your uncomfortability was based upon unknown. See, when you don't know something, when you go to a strange place, you haven't been here before, and it's like dark outside, it's scary because you don't know your way around. first time I went to go visit Robin's people up in the mountains in North Carolina, and I was we all had dinner, and they said, take the garbage out, and the ladies were cleaning up, and I grabbed the garbage, and somebody goes, hold on a second, I'll go with you. I'm like, I can handle this. What do you mean? He goes, no, I got to watch out for you. I'm like, what? I'm just taking the garbage out. And then he grabbed a gun. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? He goes, coyotes. Or bears. Like, what? Yeah, they hang out sometimes around the garbage cans just waiting for people to bring some stuff out. And so, of course, it became uncomfortable. Hey, that's not what we deal with. Once in a while we see a gator, but we know where the gators are. It's by the water. It's uncomfortable because it's unknown. And so today you saw something that's uncomfortable because you didn't know that's really what was going on. You didn't realize at that point that your president had the cojones to bring out a bear trap and spring it in front of everybody. There's no one in that media group who knew what was going to happen. They all got caught in it as well. President Trump did something today that he has to continue doing it. He has to become the media. You've heard the term bully pulpit. Well, you just saw the bully pulpit in action. Probably for the first time, the way the bully pulpit should be used. Because right about now, and you heard the guy from South Africa, can we talk about this in private? And come? No. We can talk about it in private after I'm done, after I've exposed all this, and now that you come with your hand out, and now everybody knows why. And I really loved at the end, the black woman from South Africa. And she took it head on. She said, and I wrote down her words, there's no doubt that we are a violent nation. There are people being things done to them, which I can't say here, all over, everywhere. People are afraid. She took it head on. And then the other gentleman, the white guy who was talking, is like, yeah, it's pretty bad. And so here they are talking, and the president probably sitting there going, oh man, they're hanging me out to dry, completely out to dry. And the white guy said something that was very scary and telling. The violence will increase without additional money. Huh? So you're telling the world. You're telling the world you are here in America begging for money. Otherwise, the gangs and warlords and crazy people might take over because you can't stop them. Notice they didn't ask about what everybody always said about USAID. You didn't hear people say a lot about infrastructure or food. He talked about the internet and technology. But, all the stuff, the starving kids. I didn't hear anything about any starving kids. Did you hear anything about any starving kids? No, didn't say anything about that. That's a whole nother lie. It's like we can't control the people in our country. And I use the word control on purpose. See, that's what happens when you have people, whether or not they're right or wrong, who rise up and say, we're going to run this. And I almost think it's a vision into President Trump's mind where he's like, you guys understand the guy on the wall here, Andrew Jackson, the American people aren't going to take your crap much longer. If we don't fix it, we're not going to go hungry, but we may do, you may see a population get really mad. One of the things I've been saying in some of my videos is that we're starting to see how many countries there are in the world who aren't really countries. They have been territories of the United States. They may have their own flag that they put up and call themselves a country. That may be what, it looks like out front, but as you saw today, when you pull back that curtain, they're sitting there naked like a baby, asking for more like Oliver Twist. So you can't stand on your own feet. You have no way to protect your people. You have no way to protect your country. Your military sucks. You need our gazillion dollars. Why don't you just say thank you to the American people? Stop bullcrapping us. Why don't we just put a United States flag over there, get over there, send our military and say, hey, we got a whole nother, territory here. Why is that not happening? Why are we allowing these people to pretend like they have sovereign countries when they don't? And so somebody who said it was divisive, I don't think it's divisive, honey. I think people need to wake the F up and realize at this point, reality is being exposed. It's not comfortable. You didn't make it that way, and I didn't make it that way. But heck, somebody did, and it's been allowed to perpetuate, and they expect you to pay for it. I don't feel divisive. I look at a country, loosely used term, like South Africa, and I say to myself, I've never been there. I've had people who've been there, and they say there's some beautiful things, like there's beautiful places here in America. But I don't want to go there and have people get their heads lopped off. And so if you need our help, why are we just giving it to a government? Why don't we just say we are going to appoint the ambassador of South Africa, and they're going to run the country, and we're going to put it back in the right way. We're going to put these nut jobs either in jail or wipe them out, and we're going to make this a thriving area. I don't know how old some of you guys are. Maybe I'll play it tonight, which is really interesting when I'm about to tell you, if you remember who played there, this is going to just cause you some like, oh yeah. Do you remember the album? It was like We Are the World type thing. And this album was a session of entertainers. And there was this awesome place in South Africa, and they called it Sin City. And at Sin City, all these entertainers would come in and get paid millions of dollars to play for the wealthy people, but the outside people couldn't get in. And that was part of the whole apartheid thing. All the wealthy could come in and see different acts perform. And then all of a sudden, Bono, I believe Springsteen, I know Little Stevie was a part of it, and it became a movement where they said, we're not going to play Sin City. I will play those songs tonight. Some of you guys may be sitting here going, yeah, I remember. That was South Africa. We're not going to play Sin City. Well, you know what? I think America at this point has to say, we're not going to play Sin Country. We are not going to play. We're not going to give money to a country that kills people, white or black, when the government can't seem to provide any safety to either white or black people. Why would we? What assurances do we have that that president that you saw sitting there with President Trump can actually get the job done? So I don't want to play Sin City. I don't want to play with Sin City anymore. Sin City, Sun City, whatever. Look it up. It was huge back then. Now you don't hear him talking now, huh? No, you don't hear Springsteen. Springsteen's falling upstairs complaining about Trump. Just saying, what has happened? What else did they say? Oh, the other thing was transparency. People wanted to have a transparent presidency. Let's see what you're doing behind the scenes, even though Obama and Biden didn't do that. All right, so you got some transparency. It's like, oh, no, oh, my God, what is he doing? Oh, he's embarrassing us on a grand stage. I'm not embarrassed. They're going to try and tell you that tonight, that it was embarrassing. Look how he treats leaders, just like Zelensky. It's embarrassing that this no, it's not embarrassing. It's embarrassing to you. It's embarrassing to when I say you, I'm talking about the news. It's embarrassing to MSNBC, CNN, because you're the guys who've been licking these boots for decades. Everything was fine as long as you could construct the news the way you wanted to provide the narrative that you wanted to spew. And now President Trump's like, look at this. They don't look so good naked, do they? Oh, no, they don't, sir. Sir, they look really bad. Sir, close the coat, please. Sir, we don't need to... Oh, you just got to peek inside, did you? You got a chance to look what I see on a daily basis when I'm seeing intelligence reports and I'm seeing bodies and this. You just got to see this much of what I got to see. I see this. He had a stack. Oh, you want some more? Here, these people are getting killed in your country. You did this. You did that. And people are like, no, please, no more. I can't take it. Well, Trump has said it often. He has said this many, many times. You've heard it.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Let me just tell you something if you've never played any sports. Winning isn't pretty. There was never a football game that I ever played in that we won, that we destroyed the other team, where we didn't have wounded, where we didn't have knuckles or hands broken, or hamstrings pulled, or quads pulled. There was never a clean win. It's often very dirty, bloody. You walk in and the first question your coach always asks you, win or lose, after the game, who's hurt? It's almost military in the way it's run. First thing I need to know is who's hurt. You need to get over there and talk to the trainer and the doctor. Anybody else need treatment? That's the first thing. Not about, hey, how you doing? Who's hurt? What do we need to do to make you feel better? Because you may be bleeding. You may have lost a tooth. You may have a black eye. You may have a finger that needs to be splinted. My fingers don't even look straight. How many times I've been stepped on and hurt on a football field. Those of you know I'm nursing a now arthritic knee, but that knee started getting arthritic because I've had 2 or 3 orthoscopes from playing football and stuff. Winning isn't pretty. Don't ever let someone tell you winning is easy. It's not. That's why everything you're seeing with Congress and the Senate, these people, excuse my language, piss me off. They don't know how to win. Because oftentimes when you win, you get hurt. Either side. And that's why I always love when teams always shake hands and fist bump and stuff after a game, because, you know, you watch MMA where these guys are beating the crap out of each other. And guys' eyes are all crooked and everything, and nose and his teeth, and then they come out and go, good fight. Because that winner got his butt kicked. He just happened to kick a little bit more butt than the other guy. When you look at the stats in a boxing match, if you've ever looked at the stats, it'll say XYZ person connected on 210 punches. And this guy connected on 240 punches. You ever been hit 200 times in a couple hours? Winning isn't pretty. And what you're watching is winning on an epic scale, and you're being shown what's behind the screen. And so, yeah, you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you better get uncomfortable now so that we don't have to be uncomfortable here. And just wanted to, let you guys know that. I'll take some comments here. I'm going to take a drink, and one of those things about being uncomfortable is right now I've been checking in Wall Street as we've been going. The Dow was down because the yield is up. When the yield goes up, because they're trying to inflate it to keep interest rates up as well, that means gold and silver are good bets. And it can hedge your stuff and keep you in the black instead of being in the red. By the way, you ever notice why they called it black and red? Well, because when you're losing money, you're in the red. Because it's like bloody. Just going to say winning isn't pretty. It is not pretty at all. You know, Elon Musk was probably sitting there. Couldn't. I ain't going to get Elon in this, President Trump said. I'm not going to make him go in here. All right, so be right back. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability. And that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver. Not paper, not certificates. Actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so we got a show note for you. It's not Sin City. It was called Sun City. The way it sounded when they were singing it sounded like Sin City, and it was so long ago that you probably don't remember it, and I just remembered what happened. So I want to talk to you about the movement that was back then in terms of don't want to play Sun City. This was a song, and it ended up being a one of those We Are the World type things. And it was a 1985 protest song written by Stevie Van Zandt. Stevie Van Zandt is the guitar player for Springsteen's band. And he wrote this song. It was basically all about ending apartheid. The song declared that all the artists involved would refuse to perform at Sun City, a resort which was located in the Bantustan of Botswana, one of a number of internationally unrecognized states created by the South African government to forcibly relocate its black population. And I just wanted to scroll down here so you can see all the different people who were involved. When Van Sant was finished writing Sun City, he spent the next several months searching for artists to participate in recording it. Van Sant initially declined to invite Bruce Springsteen, not wanting to take advantage of his friendship, but his Schechter, his buddy, had no problem asking him, and Springsteen accepted the invitation. Van Sant also had reservations about inviting jazz giant Miles Davis, whom Schechter also contacted, and with minimal persuasion, Miles Davis got involved. So, and then there's a whole list of artists that got involved with not wanting to play Sun City. People like Ringo Starr, Bob Dylan, the Fat Boys, Lou Reed, Run DMC, Peter Gabriel, most of the Temptations, Africa Bambaataa, Curtis Blow, Jackson Brown, and Daryl Hannah. Didn't know she sang. Bono, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, both of the Rolling Stones, Peter Wolf of the J. Giles Band, Bonnie Raitt, Daryl Hall and John Oates, reggae giant Jimmy Cliff. Let's see who else is in here. Gil Scott-Heron, Nona Hendrix, Pete Townsend from The Who, Pat Benatar, Clarence Clemens from the Boss's Bruce Springsteen's band, and then, of course, Joey Ramone from the Ramones. No introduction needed for that. So finally, all of them at that point came together and made a song about stopping the apartheid and playing in Sun City, not Sin City, Sun City. 40 years ago, today. That maybe not today, this year. 1985 is when they did it. Actually, looking at the date, October 16, 1985 is when they did it. I'll show the video tonight. Can't show it here. So, Stevie Van Sant and all these artists got together to stop and bring awareness to what was happening in South Africa 40 years ago. Yet not a word, not a single note is being sung or played about what is happening in South Africa right now. See, that's the kind of confliction that you have with people on the left. When things look a certain way, yeah, we got a problem, but when it turns and it looks the other way, hey, they're out there, hey, you didn't want people to play Sun City and everything. Are you playing South Africa? Because now they're killing white people. You want to sing a song? You want to get all these people together and you know, not going to play Sun City? No, nothing, huh? Bruce, nothing? No, Trump's the bad guy. Right. See, a lot of people don't have that musical memory like I have. I remember all this stuff with these entertainers. I grew up with them. I promoted them. I knew what they were saying. And it all sounded great back then when I was in college and stuff, a young man. I'm like, yeah, let's sing the songs. I'll help promote it. Now, it's different. Now, when your eyes get open as you get older, because the more older you get, the more conservative, most likely you become. And you realize you guys are full of it. Completely full of it. All right, so again, apologize to Colonel McGregor. Donald Trump ran long. Sorry about that. And let me see if SV's got anything before I take some comments. But this was amazing. All right, let's hear. My first daughter was born in 1985, and I remember. Yep, they are scared to hit the like button. I don't know. Being woke is the easy peasy way. I thought it was Sin City too. I thought it was, when they sing it, I think it's but yeah, it was Sun City. I looked it up. Let's see here. That's right, rock and roll all right, and Donald every day. All right, so I hope you guys have seen now what these people are all about, and President Trump, your uncomfortability, your thinking of it being divisive, it should bring you together. Don't let it be divisive. Don't be embarrassed and say, hey, we need to come together, right? So if we come together, all of us should want to see these people safe in this other country. Why isn't? See, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Why isn't the media talking about it? Why is the media always taking the side of the evil? You saw that with the newcomers, and now they're having a problem with the Afrikaners coming in because they're white. Doesn't even matter to them why they're coming in. Doesn't matter. All right, so let me continue with the show. I've got a little bit. I'm wondering how much should I do because we're already at 2 hours. Okay. I'm not going to, I want to go to 2.5 hours. So I'm trying to think in my mind as you guys are here. Should I just leave the rest until tonight and then I'll already have the show done? And I can guarantee you that I will be on at 7:30. So that's what I'll do. I think we'll just wait a little bit and let me see if anything else has been posted. Just to let you guys, I remember because I was a big U2 fan. Yep, I was too, actually. No aid to South Africa, none. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So let me do this. Let me talk to you a little bit about. It got me emotional too. I mean, I have to take a deep breath and decompress from all that stuff. And I'm not even like South African, you know. So, but it sucks. It absolutely sucks when you see stuff like that happening. All right, everybody. If you watched my interview with Kim Bright last week, you understand that there's a war happening right now, and it's probably not where you think. It's in your gut. And if you're not getting a chance to eat right, that's exactly what is happening. It's a battle between good bacteria and bad bacteria, and it can determine your overall health. Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition is the fermented superfood your body needs to arm the good guys with the right weapons to defeat the bad actors once and for all. Containing over 900 strains of beneficial bacteria in each capsule, Kimchi One supports healthy digestion, fortifies your immune system, and helps detoxify your body. Kimchi has also been shown to reduce the risk of obesity. Risk of obesity, and promote smaller waistlines by curbing your appetite and naturally boosting your metabolism. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below and just use the code BARRY for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, just like we do with our Lear Capital friends, call them, get some education. If you give them a call, you get 50% off of your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. You should see it right down here. So give them a call right now, 888-418-6738. Actually, don't call them now. Wait till we're done. All right, so that's what we should be looking at. So before YouTube, I only went to Rumble. Yep, exactly. All right, guys. What am I also? Oh, before I also go, I have to show you this because it's still going to end up being 3 hours. That's crazy, absolutely crazy. So hold on 1 second. Let me click the button here because I got to show you this.
Fanfare family. I'm B. Michael Nace, one of the members of Barry Cunningham's channel. One of the things Barry advertises on his channel is the Trump knife. But Barry doesn't really get so much justice because Barry apparently is not the knife guy that I am. I've got thousands of knives around my house. But this knife is really awesome. One, check this out. This is a power-assisted folding knife with a liner lock. A glass breaker at the tip, the liner lock in the middle, so it won't close on you until you push the liner lock in the middle. Push it and it will fold. This knife is actually quite awesome. And I'm a knife collector. I've been collecting knives for 30 years. This is an amazing knife. And you can get it barryknife.com. Barry Cunningham. He can tell you how to get it. I want you to push it to his channel, fanfare.com. This knife is amazing. It's sharp. It's heavy duty. As a matter of fact, it's almost too heavy to carry in a pocket. You'd have to put it on your belt or whatever, but it's a heavy duty knife and it's really nice. So Barry, to you, one of your family members, B. Michael Nace from Fanfare, amazing knife.
Alrighty, so that is B. Michael Nace showing the knife. He does it so much better than I ever could. I'm not that well versed in knivery, I guess that would be called. But this is the Trump Red knife that you guys can get absolutely for free. It won't cost you any amount for the knife. There's it is. And open it up. You guys can see the size of it. It's got, as I've mentioned, decent weight. And I have to always watch out so I don't stab myself in, a femoral artery or anything, because I can't do it like he did. But it's very sharp. Got good weight to it. It's got a glass breaker on this end, so you need to break it. And it's also got a seatbelt cutter right there, so you can cut it if you need to. You can get this by just going to the QR code right here. It's free. You only have to pay shipping. It normally retails for $69, actually for $70, but you can get it for free. Just pay shipping. Shipping, I believe, is $13 or so, and that's all you have to do is pay shipping, and they will send it to you. So you can either go to the QR code right here, or you can go to berryknife.com. And just apply your 100% off coupon and claim your knife today. Just go ahead and scan the QR code or go to berryknife.com and you can get yours. It was funny. Somebody asked me in the chat, like, Barry, how many takes does it take you to do the commercials? I did it live. When I was doing the Brightcore, that's just it. Just making sure you're on. No, there's no takes. That wasn't pre-recorded. The gold one is pre-recorded. It's a little bit longer, but I just nailed that. I got skills, man. Skills. Let's see. It would be lost in my purse. I like knives too. Bought 3 blankets and 3 knives. Awesome. All of it. Thank you very, very much. Is that a toilet running while the guy talks about the knife? I don't know. I don't know if that was his if that was his aquarium or what, but that's where he was. My husband and I both have one. The quality of them are pretty good. Thank you guys very much. All right, so I'm gonna stop now so I can go ahead and run a decent show, and it's 2 o'clock. I want to make sure that I'm here for 7:30. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about. I'm just checking to see if there's any breaking news that SB has sent out here. Oh, you guys got to see this. This is funny. This came out this morning, and President Trump is. I love how he's basically taking no prisoners anywhere and posting these memes and stuff. But check this out. President Trump posted this. If you haven't seen it, it's funny. You've seen these things where he did it with Biden. He did it with Bruce now, where he's teeing off. Pop. And let me run it again. Oh God! You gotta love a guy who's got that kind of sense of humor, and it just cracks me up that so many people are complaining because that's not nice. I'm over your nice. I'm done playing your nicety nice stuff. We're done. It's a different angle. So tonight, just to let you know, I've got a great show before we go to the Rumble Jump Over, and then when we do the Rumble Jump Over, I'm going to be talking to you about some Diddy stuff that's come out, some really weird Diddy stuff. I'm going to talk to you about what's going on with Nancy Mace and her expose, and then we're also going to talk about Dan Cash and what's maybe going on with Epstein. There's a little twist in a story I'm going to tell you that might be a little bit different than what you've been used to hearing, and it may make sense. It may sound conspiratorial, but as I've said about conspiracy theories, it's just something you're not aware of yet. So I'm going to give you something to think about with that tonight. Obviously, we can't talk about it on this format, but hold on. I'm just getting ready to do the super chats, and every once in a while, YouTube freezes up on me, and I can't click the right button. Okay, here we go. And so we can talk about that tonight in the Rumble Jump Over After Party. All right, where are we? Let me make sure I've got the right window pulled up so I can do the chats. Okay. Where are we? Boom. Alrighty. Marge, oh wait a minute, she's second. Fazul, 51, grats. Thank you. Thank you very much. He's talking about that across the country in all genres, we are now the 51st ranked podcast in the country. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying thank you very much. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. You guys are the reason why. And, you know, there's a lot of charts out there, but I'm going to go directly to YouTube's charts. I'm going to put my credence in the actual platform. And YouTube has come out with those rankings. Let's hear Marge Benedetto. Congratulations, Barry, to you and the team. You deserve it. Thank you very much. Marcia Dotson, you're number one with us. Very great show, and we love you all. Thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you. Tina, thank you. Amy Lewis, Trump smash. Oh, Amy Lewis, thank you. Daylight, Trump smashes truth right in their faces. He did today. Buster 5, that's not true, Mr. Trump. The white crosses are all victims killed in farm attacks, according to Grok. Isn't that what he said? I thought he said that. Ernest Walker, you don't try Trump, Trump reporter or not. Man, he spanked that guy from MSNBC hard. Wait a minute. SV's texting me something. Hold on. 1 second. What's he saying here? Wait 1 second. Excuse me. I'll tell you about that in a second. Thanks, SV. Naomi McCormick, and this will never be on network news. NBC got knocked right on its behind. They did. Zelda Britta, that is what we white South African boers, farmers face every day. And our president, the president of South Africa, endorses it, encourages it. And I think Zelda was asked me yesterday, "You're going to cover it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I told her, if they show it, I will definitely do it. Cutting edge. In other news, Bitcoin hits another all-time high of 109,888. Wow. IMC and on. Tariff the hell out of them until they stop killing and taking the land, it would seem. They also only allow Chins to harvest their gold. China to harvest their gold. Barb Johnson, and we got up this morning, I think it was a regular news day. No such thing. I'm so sad that we had to bump Colonel McGregor. Brian Newland, correct me if I'm wrong. Countries come to U.S. for money because they now know we are all about peace. CR, thank you. Are we supposed to fix their country? Yeah, they think so. That's because that's how it's always been. I mean, all these countries have just looked to us for doing it. Judy Fleischman, thank you. Mary Boston, what was exposed on South Africa was really needed in a big way. Jeff, 26, the regular media will not show that. Thank you, Barry, for covering it. I understood Fox showed most of it today, so that's a good thing, I guess. Let's see here. Let me move that over to the side so you guys can see this. GG Crafts, those golfers need to help negotiate. They were great. I love President Trump. He doesn't take poop or off of the fake liars. Nope, he doesn't. Zelda, again. Barry, the cadres, gangs, and so forth were put in place by the ruling party, and this jellyfish president let them. But he has his hands in a cookie jar. Millions of dollars found in his couch. Wow. Hope it wasn't American dollars. CR, it is the truth we need to see. Ernest Walker, disavow of Africa now. All these countries don't have the cards President Trump. Yeah, and he's showing people that. I don't know why people in the media are mad. I mean, I can't wait to see what the reaction is. You're going to hear it. Embarrassing. He's embarrassing our country. Our allies. What the hell is South Africa doing for us? CAD, the truth bill is hard to swallow. They should send them home and tell them to get their poop together. I agree. Tahare Garakani, or have conditions. Hey, listen, America's very gracious. We can help, but here's what we want. See, I don't have a problem with helping people, but I'm not helping you out of charity. That's where the problem, I think, has always been. I think people think we just give money away. No, we're doing a business deal. This isn't about charity. You guys have a country, supposedly. All right, so we'll help you build a bridge, and in exchange, we want a base or something. Or a dig. We want some minerals. You got a two-way street here. Negotiate what you're going to give us. And our feckless government for years, decades, has been a one-way street, just doling out the money. We can't do that anymore. The bank's closed. Sorry. Garakani, Barry, thank you for your gentle ogre, and you are right about the reason why President Trump brought these matters to his daily briefings. Yeah, it's got to be exposed. Trumpinator, Barry is a Michael Jordan of YouTube. Barry. Thank you. I think Michael Jordan wouldn't like that, though, but thank you very much. And Nancy J, because it was delicious watching 47 Smackdown Peter, I forget his name, from MSNBC, it was. And one of the things I think you guys have to realize as you're watching this, one of the reasons why it's, again, you're seeing the news being exposed. The media is nothing but an arm of the Democrat Party. We're going to talk about that tonight with some of the Biden stuff. But I think what we've seen over the last couple of days is that there is no media. There is no media. It's just degree of how bad they are attached to Biden, or the Democrats, rather. They don't care about Biden anymore. Have you seen what Taylor Rent said about Biden? Oh, man, wait till I show you that tonight. Now, SB texted me and said, hey, Barry, a few folks thought you were doing real estate tonight. Can you address it? I wanted to wait until I got my one of the guys who's a hard lender so he can explain hard money. I mean, I could explain it, but I think it would be a much more impactful thing if I had an actual hard money investor here talking to you, a guy who's worth, millions and millions, and he'll tell you what his criteria. I know his criteria. I know what it's all about, but it's different hearing from a specific person. And also, I wanted to have JJ on, JJ, who's the pastor, who his day job, he's a lawyer, a real estate lawyer. I wanted to have him on so he could explain some of the legal terms, because when I start talking, I'm going to tell you stuff from an investor's perspective and how I can do things. And I can't tell you how many times I've walked into JJ's office and went, hey man, here's what I want to do. You can't do that. Why not? You got to have them sign this or sign that. Huh? But they might not sign it. Well, if they won't sign it, don't do the deal. But it's a good deal. But you can't do it this way. I mean, I've had those kind of conversations with them. All kinds of stuff. Hey, we're going to talk to the city today, and we're going to try and beat up the city and get them to negotiate down their lien. All right, well, you got to fill out this. I don't want to. We got to get a permit. And yeah, JJ's coming on. Oh, wait a minute. Ashley just texted me. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Thank you very much for that. All right, Ashley just said she confirmed JJ for tomorrow night for the prayer night. And then on the 27th, we're going to do the real estate night. So I'll go ahead and put that up on YouTube. We're not going to, probably won't do that on Rumble that night. It'll be just a YouTube exclusive because there's no reason to do the jump over. Maybe I don't know, that I might have to do it depending on what they tell me, because I am doing a deal with Rumble. They may say, yeah, even if you're doing real estate, jump over. All right, so 27th is going to be the real estate stuff. I'm going to get the hard money lender, see if he can come on for 20 minutes and tell you about when I say hard money, just to let you know, hard money is a term, and many of you may not know what this term means. I've said it many times. No money down doesn't mean there's no cash put into the deal. It may not be your cash. You may not have the cash, but it means there's money. Every single deal I do, which is different than Tish, Big Letty, every single deal I do, when I put a contract in, no matter what the price, it's always a cash deal. If I see a house and we want to buy and it's $700,000, it's $700,000 cash, baby. If I walk down the street and Robin's driving by, a strip center, and they want $2.4 million, it's $2.4 million cash. Didn't say it was my cash. And that's what I want to show you. When you're out there, and when you're out there looking around at something, and you're wondering how this can work, can I actually get funded to do this? It makes a whole lot of big difference when you've been in the gym working out, and you can walk into a deal and say, I'm paying $300,000 cash, and you better let me know in the next 24 to 48 hours or I'm taking it away. That's power. That's power. That's why I know whenever I put an offer in on somebody, and I mean somebody's property, and they know me, and they're like, Barry's coming in with an offer. It may not be the price you want, but it's the price I'm going to pay, and I'm going to close. There's no doubt, if I give you an offer, you may say, can we hold it for a week or so? Okay, I'll be back to you. But you know that if you need it, it's there, it's going to be cash. I ain't got to wait for a mortgage. I ain't got to fill out all these doggone forms and everything. If we do your deal, I'm going to pay cash. Well, Barry, I don't have $600,000 cash. Well, I'm going to show you where you get $600,000 cash. When you call somebody like the guy I'm going to introduce you to, hey, I got a deal. He ain't checking your credit. He's not checking your tax returns. He's not checking whether or not you've got child support. None of that. If the deal makes sense, I'll wire the money. That's his criteria. And he'll say, here's my criteria right now. I want this happen, I want that happen, I want this to happen. If those things happen, I'll have the wired money wired to JJ's office. Like that. That's the power of now when I look around for property. And that's not bragging, because it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to find different people who would be on my team. So some of the things you can be looking at are in your own area. I'm giving you this part for free. Well, the whole thing's free, but I'm doing a little bit right now. Is I would have told you, I'm going to tell you next week, is start putting your team together. Start talking to realtors in your area who are looking at stuff and would like to work with a new investor. Newsflash, it's going to be tough, because any realtor worth his salt probably has on speed dial 4 or 5 different people. Here's another newsflash for you. These realtors know that they can buy and sell the property as well. I happen to have probably the best realtor in South Florida. And she's sitting out there. So what we did, because I learned that early, was that, I started talking to realtors, and I'm like, well, why don't we just bring a realtor in-house? Robin, can you go ahead and take the test and get your license? And so in 2001, she got her license. And she's been a realtor for 24 years, but she doesn't work for anybody. It gives you access to the MLS. Why do you want access to the MLS? Because by the time a realtor brings you a property, it's already been shopped all around. Most of us have already said, no, we don't want it. No thanks. And so sometimes you're getting stale deals. And you don't, but in your area, maybe it might be different. Down here's a lot of sharks, not just in the ocean. They're swimming on land and they're buying real estate. And they see everything. And they go through every single property in the entire county, maybe the tri-county area, and they know exactly what their criteria are. There are certain neighborhoods here in South Florida that you will need to do in your area to be proficient, that if I see a house go for sale in XYZ zip code, I don't even need to do any looking. I just check the ownership, make sure the title is good, and then I already know what it's worth and what I'm willing to pay. Sight unseen. That's another thing. When you get to a point where you know what something is in a certain neighborhood is, you put the offer in sight unseen. You beat your competition. Wow, I just did that off a riff without even talking to you guys. I mean, having any notes. That's how much fun I have in real estate when I'm doing this stuff. And again, the naysayers are out there, you can't do it. And I'm like, I'm telling you, once you get proficient, you can do this. It's very lucrative, very, 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 very competitive. And no, you don't have to go buying any courses. That's like the course thing, the guru thing. Been there, done that, threw the t-shirt away. And you're in 2025. There is so much information out there that you can access for free. So there's nothing keeping you broke. There's nothing keeping you from enjoying prosperity but yourself. If you're watching this video and you're still here, it means you can also do the lookup and find a property. Do you know how many people now, when they watch my show, will send me things on Twitter or email? Barry, I looked at Grok and Grok said this. And I'm like, I love it, man. People are actually jumped into Grok. That's why there's almost 18,000, 17,000 people in our X group. They're actually doing it now. They're creating content. So it's available to you. You just have to know how to do it. and I'm going to take the time. And what you guys don't know, which I'm going to probably do for you, I used to, when I started this channel, I don't know, 12 years ago, it was marketing and social media and real estate. And I put all those videos basically private, most of them. And I'm going to use a lot of those videos and say, here, look at this. Let me push play so you can like listen to this right here as I show people how to do things. And one of the things with the videos is I didn't need to have 5,000 people watching. I only needed to get that 1 or 2 people who are ready to do something like, hey man, hey, can we do a deal together? Sure. What you got? And, you know, just walking together. So I'm going to show all that to you. I'm going to open up the kimono and say, here's what you need to do to learn how to do real estate investing. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm just going to show you how. I'm going to do that proverbial teach a man to fish instead of handing him a fish. And if you're willing to, you know, do the legwork and run and set yourself apart from other people, it can be very prosperous for you. I'm not expecting to see anybody get a home run within like the first 7 days. No, that's an infomercial BS. It's going to take you some work. So if you're not afraid of work, yeah, we'll do that. Like this, Ashley said it's on the 27th. So that's next, what's today's Wednesday? Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday night, we're going to do it. In the interim, I'll start, you know, posting some of my old real estate stuff so you guys can see that as well. All right, so let's go to the after party. Let me just check and see if there's any questions about that. You're a student all your life. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what. Let me just see if there's anything else. I definitely want to learn. Been thinking about it. Yeah, if you're interested, and you want to learn, well, I love giving people information, and I can talk about real estate literally for hours. I mean, I used to get paid good money to fly around the country and teach people what we were doing. And back during the foreclosure boom, boy, we were doing short sales and short sales before people knew what short sales were. I'll explain to you what a short sale is because I think that's going to come back. Oh, let me just show you this. Here's why, let me get my ears back on here. Here's why it's a great time to get into real estate. Why not play this to you? This is only 1 minute and 17 seconds long, all right? I want you to hear this because when I saw this, this is what I was going to talk about on Tuesday, but I'll give you a preview right now. Check this out. Let me make sure I got the right thing selected.
Now, because rates are on the move, so are mortgage rates. As yields move higher, Diana Olick has the latest. Diana, what can you tell us?
Well, Kelly, the average rate on the 30-year fix just went back over 7% this morning, 7.04 to be exact, according to Mortgage News Daily. That is the highest rate since April 11th.
All right, so if mortgage rates are up to 7%, God forbid you have an adjustable rate mortgage. Because if you have an adjustable rate mortgage and it, quote, adjusts, and it adjusts to 7 and you bought the house for 3%, that means your mortgage is going to double. And so when I watch these kind of shows, and I just happen to have this in here because this is what I do every day, and I'm like, oh, it's 7%. It's going back up. What does that tell you? If a mortgage is harder to obtain, less people are going to be able to buy a property. If less people are able to buy a property, people who are trying to sell a property by simple laws of supply and demand are going to have a harder time selling. And you're going to watch this happen with, you know, list price while this happens because the demand is coming and it's just going to keep going down until the Fed drops the rates. If the Fed doesn't drop the rates, the yield is going to cause this stuff to go back up. 7% on a mortgage when most people were buying, 2 years ago, 3.5%, 4%, if you had prime credit, that's crippling. And so, let's continue.
Rates began rising sharply at the start of April after President Trump announced wide-ranging tariffs, so-called Liberation Day. They hit that high and then began coming down a bit, but they really haven't moved much at all this month, despite the announcement of a 90-day cut in Chinese tariffs last week. I would note that April was when we started to see a real slowdown in the housing market. Pending sales of existing homes in April that signed contracts dropped 3.2% compared to April of last year, according.
So 3.2% drop in pending home sales, meaning houses that have gone to contract to sell, we've seen a drop, meaning they're selling less homes. Doesn't necessarily mean the prices dropped. It just means there's more inventory. So, I'll show you guys this next week.
And Realtor.com, that was the fourth consecutive month of declines. Now, home builders also noted a steep drop in demand in April. Home builder sentiment is now at the lowest level since the end of 2023. And we did see a bit of a comeback in mortgage demand in the applications in the first 2 weeks of this month. But that was when rates were sitting right around 6.9%, not moving. There is definitely something about that 7 handle on the rate that does give people pause, not to mention that any increase will knock some people out of even qualifying for a mortgage. Kelly?
Yeah, that's when you know it's money time. The thing I've been telling you, it's time to buy is when blood is in the streets. Well, when people can't get mortgages, people who are looking to sell start getting antsy, and their homes start sitting and sitting and sitting. And so then one of the criteria I look for often is a good property in a decent neighborhood that's been on the market for 90, 120, 180 days. Once those houses start going unsold for 90, 120, 180 days, that's when a lot of the sharks begin coming in, because they know at this point it's not moving and you're going to be more amenable to getting a house sold. But see, everybody knows that. What you need to look at are the houses in periphery to the one that's listed. Because the one that's listed, everybody's trying to negotiate that one. But at 123 Elm Street, that's the one that listed. 145 Elm Street, you also know they're not going to be able to sell their house in the near future. If 123 Elm Street hasn't sold, then 145 isn't even going to get into the game. So you can approach them before, and you can just watch different things like divorces. You can look at default notices to see if they've fallen behind. You can see if the grass is overgrown. Is the roof messed up from a storm? Is there paint chipping? Did somebody die? All those kind of things. And Robin will tell you, I'm driving, and we're going someplace where she's driving, and my head will just turn. She'll go, "You saw something?" "Yeah, I saw something." Turn around. Let's go look over here real quick. Just out, not out there driving for dollars, which is another term you can go look up, driving for dollars. I don't have to do that anymore. But if we're just out and about, going to church, going to a restaurant, and she sees it, she's like, "Oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh yeah, spin around. I got to go check that out." And it depends on what you see. All right, so let's see. Do the comps. Michelle says, do the comps. SB just texted me again here. CNN has already started. They claim the chants about killing white people need historical context. I got you some historical context. Their heads are getting lopped off. How about that? There's your context. President Trump did what he had to do, and I love it. All right, so I'm going to see you guys for sure. I got plenty of time. It's only 2:30. I will see you for sure at 7:30 tonight, maybe even a little bit earlier. Talk to you then.
Bye.